remind what we discussed yesterday. Chaitanya Prabhu also is here. You're welcome, Prabhuji. Okay, let's start.
Hare Krishna.
What we discussed yesterday. Quick one, please. Let's remind ourselves. Discussion point.
Yeah, we discussed the two kinds of impersonalists, which are the Maya bodies and the Brahma bodies. The Maya bodies, we understood that there are Krishna aparadi, or they're very offensive, and they're very materialistic, and everything they see is Maya. And with regards to the Brahma bodies, they are the ones that those wants to merge into the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, or they also want to become one or become God themselves. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Any other contribution? The final topic yesterday was very sweet, actually.
I have contribution.
You said?
I have contribution.
No. We are revising what we discussed yesterday. You were not around yesterday, so.
Oh, but I have contribution about this.
Okay. Let Ashwaya Mataji speak. Ashwaya Prabhu, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So yesterday it was in the verse 11 that the Lord tried to chastise and call actually Arjuna fool but indirectly. And you also mentioned in the class that even like you're in the position of the teacher, there's a proper way to correct them.
Yeah.
So we mentioned that. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Yes, now you can make your contribution, Chaitanya Prabhu.
I listened to class actually by Janananda Maharaj. He was saying that there are also Brahmavadis just as well as there are Mayavadis, and he's saying that the only difference between them is that the Brahmavadis they just have no knowledge. They have no knowledge of anything higher than Brahman, whereas the Mayavadis they have access to this, but because they are envious of Krishna, therefore they just see everything as Maya. So it's just out of envy. That is the main difference between the Brahmavadis and the Mayavadis. So I thought I'd like to share that.
Thank you very much for sharing that. Yeah. Like I gave example of the Brahmavadis yesterday. Actually, it's not that the Brahmavadi they don't have knowledge. It's just that the merging to Brahma or the Brahma effulgence is they considered to be the highest. An example of Brahmavadi is given in the scripture is the four Kumaras. Four Kumaras, they are a very learned person. They're very learned. And another example also is Shukadev Goswami, that after hearing about Krishna, he became attracted to Krishna. So actually, Brahmavadis are highly elevated people, but the only thing that is there, just like you say, their knowledge ends at Brahma effulgence of Krishna. That's only what they know. Thank you very much for adding that. Okay. Any other topic we discussed want to mention? Yes, Ryan Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji, on the 2.8, on the purport, Srila Prabhupada said that the problems of material existence, birth, old age, disease, and death cannot be counteracted by accumulation of wealth and economic development.
Yeah, I remember we discussed about that also. That we cannot solve material problem with material solution. We can only solve our material problem with spiritual solution. Yeah, thank you for reminding us of that. And also we talk extensively about we are not the body, about what we eat, and we talked extensively about it yesterday towards the end, I remember. And we all asked Rasarai Prabhu asked question, and Chai Mataji asked question. It was very enthusiastic discussion actually yesterday. Yeah. I didn't hear from anyone about that.
Oh yes, Prabhuji, we discussed the importance of being in the mode of goodness, and being in the mode of goodness is being careful with what we eat, who we associate, what we listen, and where we go. So you mentioned that one example in the in the food. So thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Because actually, when you don't understand these basic things about Krishna consciousness, you struggle. All activity we perform in Krishna consciousness is just for us to be in the mode of goodness, so that we can, because only on platform of goodness, actually we can begin to understand Krishna consciousness, not before that. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so today we are going to test, we stop at test 13, no? So today we are going to test 14, where Krishna is going to tell Arjuna about tolerance, which also is very, very important in our own life also. Matras pashas tukaunteya shitosna sukadukada agama payino nitya samtite saswabharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, ocean of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Purport, someone want to read?
Okay, Prabhuji. Purport. In
Yeah.
the proper discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearances and appearances of happiness and distress. According to Vedic injunction, one has to take his bath early in the morning, even during the month of Magha, January to February. It is very cold at that time, but in spite of that, a man who abides by the religious principle does not hesitate to take his bath. Similarly, a woman does not hesitate to cook in the kitchen in the months of May and June, the hottest parts of the summer season. One has to execute his duty in spite of climatic inconveniences. Similarly, to fight in the religious principle of the Kshatriyas, and although one has to fight with some friend or relative, one should not deviate from his prescribed duty. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge. Because by knowledge and devotion, only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya, illusion. The two different names of address given to Arjuna are also significant. To address him as Kaunteya signifies his great blood relations from his mother's side, and to address him as Bharata signifies his greatness from his father's side. From both sides, he is supposed to have a great heritage. A great heritage brings responsibility in the matter of proper discharge of duties. Therefore, he cannot avoid fighting. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So this verse is very, very important for us. And we should memorize, the body should memorize this verse, because we have to learn to tolerate. Why should we tolerate? It's very simple. In this verse is mentioned, O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. They arise from self-perception, ocean of Bharat. One must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So, when you are happy, like what this verse is saying, when you are happy, when you are in a happy mode, it's from self-perception. And when you are not happy, in distress, it's from your self-perception. So in both situations, once you realize that you are not this body, we are the spirit soul, like Krishna started the philosophy with that, then it's easier for you to tolerate. I remember when it was very hot in Manila here, just before the rain season started. Very hot. And everybody complaining, oh, it's too hot. Oh. Now it's raining. Oh, it's raining. Oh, it's raining. So we're always complaining. You know? We're always complaining. It's like that. But in actuality, if we understand what it means to be, we are not this body, we are the spirit soul, like Krishna is saying here, and Prabhupada mentioned in the purpose, a woman has to perform his duty, even when he has to cook in the kitchen, even during the hottest part of the summer. And Prabhupada gave another example. What example is that? You can remember.
Is it taking bath on the coldest month, January and
Yes.
February, on August?
Yeah, it's very cool that time. If you're in Mayapur, you understand what I'm saying. Very cool. Very cool. See, you have to take good shower. It's not easy. So to tolerate such thing, they're not easy. Means, especially for the woman to have to cook. It means that, those days there was nothing like air condition. So they cannot put air condition in the kitchen. So you have to perform your duty. The most important point stress here is that you have to perform your duty no matter what. Arjuna, don't talk about before Krishna was talking about, oh, we are going to be happy, we'll not be happy, if we kill our kinsmen and this. Krishna is telling him now, replying to that part of the purpose, that part of the point that, Arjuna, you have to be exposed. You have to tolerate whether happiness or distress. So Krishna is responding to that point, part of the point. So let's continue and read text 15. Krishna will continue the knowledge of the soul. Okay. Yam ina vyatayanti ete purusham purusha shaba samaduka sukandi ramsu amrita twaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Let's read the purport. Krishna is stressing the same point. Somebody want to read?
Anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization and can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness is certainly a person eligible for liberation. In the Varnashram institution, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order, sannyas, is a painstaking situation. But one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order in life in spite of all difficulties. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships, to give up the connection of wife and children. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjuna's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere, even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24, and his dependents, young wife, as well as his old mother, had no one else to look after them. Yet for a higher cause, he took sannyas and was ready in the discharge of higher duties. That is the way of achieving liberation from material bondage.
So yeah, Krishna is emphasizing more about being steady. This, after talking about the soul, how the soul is eternal. So Krishna is saying these are the duties of someone who have realized that. Okay, always among us, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both, certainly eligible for it. And this Krishna is going to repeat this again and again in Bhagavad Gita. Not disturbed by happiness or distress, pain or gain, and this about symptoms of self-realized souls. So when you say you are not this, you are not the body, you are spirit soul. These are the things we are supposed to be practicing. to be steady in both happiness and distress. For example, you win a jackpot, control yourself, calm down, calm down. You lose money, control yourself, calm down. So if you can be equiposed in both situations, when whether happiness or distress, then it means that you have reached your consciousness has reached the stage of liberation. It means that you are not disturbed by the material environment again. Why? Why is this important? Because whatever we are experiencing is only with the body and the mind. Krishna is going to explain this further in the Bhagavad Gita in the future. Whatever we are experiencing in this world ends only in the mind and our body. The soul itself is not affected at all. The soul is not affected at all. The soul is completely aloof. Okay? So that is why it's very, very important to understand this point again. Krishna is going to stress it again and again in Bhagavad Gita. And this is what Bhagavad Gita is meant for. To learn, to understand how to become self-realized. Doing our duty on that platform. All this Krishna is teaching Arjuna is so that he can perform his duty properly, because he's refusing to perform his duty as a Kshatriya. And we all have our own duties. So what is our duty? We try to apply this teaching of Bhagavad Gita into it. Simple. In your working place, you get so much money, calm down, don't be disturbed, don't be too over happy. Something bad happen, calm down, be equiposed. You practice this. You have to practice. If you don't practice, you don't imbibe these things Krishna is you. You have to practice. Very, very important. Let's continue. We're going to read some nice power parts also later. Okay, test 16. Nasato vidate bavo, nabavo vidate sataha, obayo apidrishtonta stuana yota twada shibi. Translation. Those who are seer of the truth have concluded that of the non-existence, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. This is very nice. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that what? That of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. Purports.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, go ahead, Mother.
Alright. There is no endurance of the changing body. That the body is changing every moment by the action and reaction of the different cells is admitted by the modern medical science. And thus growth and old age are taking place in the body, but the spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of the body and the mind. That is the difference between matter and the spirit. By the nature, the body is ever changing, and the soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by all classes of seers of the truth, both impersonalists and personalists. In the Vishnu Purana 2.12.38, it is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. Jyotimisi Vishnu, Bhuvani Vishnu. The word existent and non-existent refer only to the spirit and matter. That is the version of spheres of truth. This is the beginning of the instruction by the Lord to the living entities.
who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. Removal of ignorance involves the reestablishment of the internal relationship between the worshipper and the worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and partial living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can understand the nature of the Supreme by throughout study of the oneself. The difference between oneself and the Supreme Being understood at the relationship between the part and the whole. Supreme has been accepted in the Vedanta Sutras as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. Such emanations are experienced by the superior and inferior natural sequences. The living entities belong to the superior nature. As it is will be revealed the 7th chapter, although there's no difference between the energy and energetic. The energetic is accepted as the supreme, and the energy or nature is accepted as subordinate. The living entities, therefore, are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as in the case of master and the servant, or the teacher and the taught such clear knowledge, impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance, and to drive away such ignorance, the Lord teaches the Bhagavad Gita for the enlightenment of all living entities for all time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So, yeah, Prabhupada, you say what? Somebody say something there.
Go ahead, Brother Ryan.
Oh. Okay. So Prabhupada is explaining to us here that Prabhupada Krishna started the knowledge of the soul from here. So we can see that here is mentioned that the body is always changing, but for soul is eternal. We all know this truth. We know it. But most important thing is not only knowing why Krishna is explaining this to Arjuna, is so that Arjuna can perform his duty in all circumstances. That is why this knowledge is always important for us to apply them. We have to perform our duty. Understanding that we are soul, so there should not be hindrance in performing our duty. We'll talk more as we go on. So, any question or comments regarding these verses we are reading?
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada, he quotes this verse in the pastime of Bharat Maharaj, when he takes birth as a deer.
Yeah.
So he quotes this verse saying like this is what Bharat Maharaj should have done. He should have not been attached to, distinguish between the body and the soul and realize his duty. So he's already renounced his family and his kingdom, but now he's become attached to the deer.
Yeah. So quickly, I want to read from. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes,
Prabhu, but it is small.
So small.
Yeah, I know it's small. I know it's small. Okay.
So small, yeah.
I know it's small. So Krishna in Surrender Unto Me, it is mentioned Krishna again rebukes Arjuna. Seer of the truth recognize the difference between the body and the soul. Indirectly, it tells Arjuna that despite his previous colorless word, he's not understanding things that they are. Krishna clarified truth by offering two propositions in this verse. First, the material body and all material situations are temporary. They have no existence. Secondly, only those things that are sad, eternal, truly exists. So this is very, very important to understand. Everything, every situation in this material world is temporary. Maximum, we stay for 100 years, maximum, no matter how powerful you are. So even that 100 years, it looks like a blink of an eye. So before you were maybe 13, 14 years. Now, some of us are 45, 50, or 60, whatever our ages, our age are. So, but we can understand that you are looking at yesterday as just, you are looking at, your past, when you are young as yesterday. It's like it moved very fast. And that is how, same way, before we know, 70 will come, 80 years will come, and like that. So material situation is always changing, and it's temporary. But the soul, the spiritual existence, is eternal. That is why we're always feeling the same, even though our body is changing. This is a very, very important point that Krishna is reestablishing with Arjuna again. Okay, so let's go to test 17. Sorry, my internet is moving slow. Okay. Avinashita tu tad vidi yena sarvam idam tatam. Vinashama vyasya nankashit katum arati. So Krishna is saying that which pervades the entire body, you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Very nice, huh? This is you are hearing the knowledge of the soul. Only very few people knows this thing. Only very few. Even the so-called other religious body, they don't know about the soul. Very few have this knowledge or access to this knowledge. We are very fortunate. So let's read Prabhupada's purport again. Please go ahead.
Yes, this verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body, in part or as a whole. The spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. This soul is described as 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. The Shvetasvatar Upanishad 5.9 confirms this. Balagrashata Vagasya Satadha Kalpitasya cha Vago Jiva sa Vijneyaha sa Chanantyaya Kalpate. When the upper point of the hair is divided into 100 parts, and again, each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts. Each such part is a measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. Similarly, the same version is stated. Keshagra sata vagasya satam saha sadirshat makaha jiva suksma swarupo yam sankyatito ichit kanaha. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000 of the upper portion of the hair. Therefore, the individual particle of spirit soul is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms, and such atoms are innumerable. This very small spiritual spark is a basic principle of the material body, and the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spreads throughout the body. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is the proof of the presence of the soul. Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but to the spirit soul. In the Mundaka Upanishad 3.1.9, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. Yasho nur atma shetasab veditavyo. Yasmin pranaha panchada samivesha. Pranais chitam sarva otam prajanam. Yasmin vishudhe vivav vivat bhatya esa atma. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in the five kinds of air: prana, apana, dhyana, samana, and udana. It is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the five kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. The Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the five kinds of air, encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting postures, not for any material profit, but for liberation of the minded soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures, and it is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to the Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity. And because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart along with the super soul, and thus all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. The corpuscles, which carry the oxygen from the lungs, gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, the activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of the red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain the source of the energy. The source of the energy is the soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. Such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. The sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha, or superior energy. So, whether one follows Vedic knowledge or modern science, one cannot deny the existence of the spirit soul in the body, and the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita by the personality of God himself. Hare Krishna.
Very detailed knowledge Papa gave us in the purport here. Detail. So we have to take note of some of the points Papa mentioned in the purport. Like number one, the size of the soul. So what is the size of the soul? If I may ask. According to Srila Prabhupada, what is the size of the soul?
He said that the soul is described as 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size.
So if you want to explain that to a layman, how will you explain it, describe it?
So a tip of the hair, is it the tip of the hair?
Yes.
And cut it into 1,000 parts?
Yeah, that is it. So when you take the tip of the hair, you cut it into 100 parts. Then you take one of that 100 parts and cut it to 100 parts again. That is the size of the soul. Very, very minute, eh? Very, very small.
So we cannot see actually the soul. We cannot.
That is it. It's very minute. And that is why microscope cannot see it also. You know, even the scientists, like Papa mentioned many times in the purport, before they discover microscope, they don't believe in the microscopic organism also. Because they cannot see them with their eyes. But they are there. Actually, if you bring microscope in front of your eyes, you will cover your mouth. Because there's so many microscopic organisms in the hair. When you look, you want to cover your mouth. So Papa mentioned another point, how to realize the soul in the heart. Can anybody tell me? Papa say something about that.
Is it the 5 kinds of air?
That is one. There's another point. Prabhupada mentioned. There's another point Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. Are you going through the purport now? You didn't pick it.
Prabhu, can you please repeat the question?
How can we perceive the soul in the heart?
Yeah. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence.
Yes,
This soul
you got the
floating in
point.
the 5 kinds of air.
That is okay. Yeah, you got the point. Prabhupada say it can be perceived by what?
By perfect intelligence.
Yes, by perfect intelligence. What does that mean? Let us discuss. What does that mean?
This atomic soul is floating in the 5 kinds of
No,
air.
no. I'm not saying we should read it. I'm not saying you should read it again. I say let's discuss. What does that mean?
Understanding that we are not the body? I'm not sure.
No, you are not sure. So it's not. It's not. It's not. It's because you are not sure. So it's not.
I think there's another point which is better. Prabhupada,
Okay.
he writes that the current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is the proof of the presence of the soul. Is
Yeah,
that what
that's
you're looking for?
no. That is that is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for what do you understand by the soul can be perceived by perfect intelligence. What does that mean?
Perfect intelligence? I think only God knows it. That's perfect intelligence. God knows. But not
Oh,
the
is there?
person.
The answer is here. Is here. Perfect intelligence. What does that mean?
The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over the particular body.
No. Okay, let me break it down. How do you strengthen your intelligence?
By Vedic scripture.
By
Or
studying.
by studying.
By studying the scripture. You strengthen your intelligence by doing what? By studying the scripture. So when Prabhupada say perfect intelligence means when you become learned. That is why in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 18. Somebody want to read, please? Open it.
Prabhu, is that 518?
Yes.
18.
The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater.
A what? A who? Repeat it again.
The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge,
By a virtue of true knowledge,
see with equal vision a learned and a gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater.
So by knowledge, one can see the super soul in the heart of all. That is what that verse is saying. A one who is knowledge can perceive the super soul in the heart of all. Okay, so knowledge is very, very important to strengthen our intelligence, actually. And that is why Krishna is giving this knowledge to Arjuna. Very important. So when Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport that by one can perceive the soul by perfect intelligence, it means that when you become so learned, actually, you become so sensitive, especially when you have spiritual knowledge. it's easier for you to perceive the soul inside, become self-realized. That is why we're always advising, is mentioned to always study the scripture, read Bhagavad Gita. That's why Prabhupada concluded the purport by saying that Krishna is teaching this knowledge to us so that we can understand. So Prabhupada gives so many examples, so many explanations in the purport about the soul, about the different, some people they do, he mentioned about the different air in the body, how if by purifying those air, one can realize the soul. And Prabhupada mentioned how the soul, the consciousness spread around the body. Consciousness is the symptoms of the soul in the body. What is consciousness? Consciousness, it's just like Krishna is the super consciousness. Just please, one second, please. Just 1 second. Thank you. So, how does Krishna pervade the universe? Krishna pervades the universe because Krishna is the super consciousness. He pervades the universe by entering into all the atoms. Atom is considered to be the smallest particle in creation. So Krishna enters all the atoms. And that is why Krishna pervades the whole universe. So that is why Krishna he knows what is going on inside you, he knows what is going inside me, because it's in us. So similarly also, the consciousness spread around all the cells in your body. Prabhupada mentioned about the red corpuscle and the blood and all those scientific talk. Okay? That is the same way, just like Krishna spread around the universe in form of super soul, entering all the atoms to perceive everything in the universe. So that is how Krishna feels everything in the universe. Similarly, also the soul in human's body pervades the whole body in that way. It's like it's like a light, you know. And it's proper mention also in the purport again. Also, that soul resides in the heart. And that is why we feel devotion in our heart. Because the soul is an eternal servant of Krishna. And it's mentioned that love of Krishna is natural with the soul. But because the soul has forgotten now, we are struggling with that. That is why we can feel. Prabhupada at one time asked, why do we continue chanting Hare Krishna mantra? He was asking the bodies. And the body was giving so many different answers. Oh, because Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. They say no. Oh, because in Jama Karma Shame Dividend, Prabhupada said no. They were quoting so many scriptures. Prabhupada said no. We continue chanting Hare Krishna mantra because whenever we chant, we can feel Krishna. We can feel Krishna. That is why we continue chanting. If not, ordinarily we will not do that again. But because we can feel Krishna, that is why we continue chanting. Okay, so let's read a few more. Let me share. Before we read Prabhupada's quote, what is the time? We have few time. Okay, let me see. Let's see what is there. Just 1 minute, sorry. Did we read yesterday Prabhupada's quote? Hare Krishna?
Yes,
No, Prabhuji. We didn't read because you said we will wait until verse 21. So we
Yes.
supposed to read, but you said we have to wait until verse 21. So yeah.
21 now. Yes, we have still also we have not reached 21. We are now in 17. Okay. So let's continue. Because there's no any quotes for the other one before 21. That is why. Okay, let's go to 18 now. Verse 18. So from a year to 30 is going to be pure Gyan. Krishna just giving knowledge about the soul. So we only talk about Gyan and Atambanta ime deha nitya yukta sharirina anashino prameyasya tasma yuda swabarata. The material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharat. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, this material body of these great warriors you have so much respect and compassion for, will come to an end. So you have to do your duty, Arjuna. Don't neglect your duty. Please read the purport.
Okay, Prabhuji. The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately or it may do as after 100 years. It is question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely, but the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by any enemy, to say nothing of being killed. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimension. So from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity as he is cannot be killed, nor can the material body be saved for any length of time or permanently protected. The minute particle of the whole spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. In the Vedanta Sutras, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the supreme light. As the sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. As soon as the spirit soul is out of this material body, the body begins to decompose. Therefore, it is the spirit soul which maintains this body. The body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight and not to sacrifice the cause of religion for material body considerations. Hare Krishna. And
19. Yainam biti ataram yaschaina mayate hatam ubato na vijanito nayamanti nahayate. Neither he who thinks the living entity, the slayer, nor he who think is snail is in knowledge. For the snail not, nor is snail. For the self snails not, nor is snail. Did you understand this statement here?
not really. Thank
Yeah. Anybody understand? You want to explain to us?
Is it that the verse is saying that the self does not perish or cannot die or
Yeah.
cannot be killed?
Neither you think neither you think the living entity, the snail, nor you think is snail is in knowledge. And when you kiss somebody, and when somebody kills somebody, so who think that they are the living entity is dead or whatever. For the self is snail, not nor is snail. It means that you cannot kill the soul. And that does not mean that we can. That does not mean that we have to carry weapon and start killing everybody around. You know, because you cannot kill the soul. You know, so you're just killing people around. So we should understand. No, it's not like that. So Krishna is giving specific knowledge to Arjuna about the soul. So this cannot be misused. Okay. Purport.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu, purport. When an embodied living entity is hurt by fatal weapons, it is to be known that the living entity within the body is not killed. The spirit soul is so small that it is impossible to kill him by any material weapon, as will be evident from subsequent verses. Nor is the living entity killable because of his spiritual constitution. What is killed or is supposed to be killed is the body only. This, however, does not at all encourage killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is ma himsyat sarva bhutane. Never commit violence to anyone, nor does understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. Killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable and is punishable by the law of the state as well by the law of the Lord. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsically. Hare Krishna.
So we can understand from this what the Prabhupada is strictly talking against whimsical killing. Just like I mentioned before. Not because we understand that you cannot kill yourself, then you carry gun, start killing everybody. Oh, I'm not killing them, just liberating them from their body. No, that's the whimsical, you know. So, so no, it's not like that. This knowledge is for us to understand that we are eternal, so that we can be able to understand how to face life. Because when you know that you are eternal, nothing in this life will bother you again. Nothing. Not even your worries, not your problems. Because you know that every situation is temporary. Whatever situation you find yourself is temporary. It's a matter of time, things are going to change. So once you understand this, about material nature is always changing and the soul is eternal, nothing will bother you. So happiness and distress will always remain the same. Pain or displaying, but that does not mean that sometimes when we talk about this pain and pleasure, we have to be the same. Also, we see that sometimes devotees, they tolerate a lot of pains that later develop into, major diseases in their body because they tolerate so much pains. Something starts going on wrong in their body. Oh, I'm not the body, and they neglect it. And before you know, that grows into bigger disease. So because of this knowledge also, that does not mean that we should not take care of the body, like Prabhupada said. No, because we need the body to achieve the perfection of life, to realize Krishna. Very important. So the knowledge is for us to be able to apply or to act properly in this knowledge that we are not this body, we're spirit soul, is for us to be able to act properly in this world at the different circumstances we find ourselves. Very, very important knowledge, actually. Okay. Any comments or contribution regarding that? Now we are in text 20, the famous text 20. Najayate mriyate kadachin nayambutu abhavitavana buyaha ajolitya sashato yampurano na ayante ayamanine sarire. Very famous verse. Whenever you want to talk about the soul, just quote this verse. So Krishna is here reinforcing whatever he has been telling Arjuna. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Any comments regarding the statement before we go into the purport? Anybody want to say something?
I am a word primeval. What does it mean?
I'm
Primeval?
hearing you.
This word primeval? 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 What does it mean?
Ever existing and primeval. Primeval means what is that word? From beginning or something like that. Let me check. Primeval. 1 minute. Something like has been there since time immemorial, something like that. Primeval. 1 minute. Let me just confirm from my dictionary. Primeval. Earliest ages in the history of the world. Earliest age. It has been there since time immemorial, okay? Primeval, okay? Another comment? Okay, let's go to the purport. Somebody want to read?
I'll read.
Yeah, please go ahead, Prabhu.
Qualitatively, the small atomic fragmental part of the Supreme Spirit is one with the Supreme. It undergoes no changes like the body. Sometimes the soul is called the steady, or kutastha. The body is subject to 6 kinds of transformations. It takes its birth from the womb of the mother's body, remains for some time, grows, produces some effects, gradually dwindles, and at last vanishes into oblivion. The soul, however, does not go through such changes. The soul is not born, but because he takes on a material body, the body takes his birth. The soul does not take birth there, and the soul does not die. Anything which has birth also has death. Because the soul has no birth, he therefore has no past, present, or future. He is eternal, ever existing, and primeval. That is, there is no trace in history of his coming into being. Under the impression of the body, we seek the history of birth, etc., of the soul. The soul does not at any time become old, as the body does. The so-called old man therefore feels himself to be in the same spirit as in his childhood or youth. The changes of the body do not affect the soul. The soul does not deteriorate like a tree or anything material. The soul has no byproducts either. The byproducts of the body, namely children, are also different individual souls, and owing to the body, they appear as children of a particular man. The body develops because of the soul's presence, but the soul has neither offshoots nor change. Therefore, the soul is free from the 6 changes of the body. In the Katha Upanishad 1-18, we also find a similar passage which reads, Najaite miyate vava vipaschin, nayam kutaschin babu vakaschit, ajo nitya saspatoyam parano, nahanyate hanyamane harire. The meaning and purport of this verse is the same as in Bhagavad Gita, but here in this verse there is one special word, vipaschit, which means learned or with knowledge. The soul is full of knowledge, or full always of consciousness. Therefore, consciousness is a symptom of the soul. Even if one does not find the soul within the heart where he is situated, one can still understand the presence of the soul simply by the presence of consciousness. Sometimes we do not find the sun in the sky owing to clouds or for some other reason, but the light of the sun is always there, and we are convinced that it is therefore daytime. As soon as there is a little light in the sky early in the morning, we can understand that the sun is in the sky. Similarly, since there is some consciousness in all bodies, whether man or animal, we can understand the presence of the soul. This consciousness of the soul is how different from the consciousness of the Supreme, because the Supreme Consciousness is all knowledge, past, present, and future. The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful. When he is forgetful of his real nature, he attains education and enlightenment from the superior lessons of Krishna. But Krishna is not like the forgetful soul. If so, Krishna's teachings of Bhagavad Gita would be useless. There are 2 kinds of souls, namely the minute particle soul, Anu Atma, and the super soul, Vibhu Atma. This is also confirmed in the Katha Upanishad 1-20 in this way. Super soul, Paramatma, so the same tree, body, within the same hut of the living being, and only one who has become free from all material desires, as well as lamentations, can, by the grace of the Supreme, understand the glories of the soul. Krishna is the fountainhead of the super soul also, as it will be disclosed in the following chapters. And Arjuna is the atomic soul, forgetful of his real nature. Therefore, he requires to be enlightened by Krishna or by his bona fide representatives, the spiritual master. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. What elaborate purport Prabhupada gave.
Yeah.
So what did you bring from this purport? Let's discuss.
So first, the soul does not go through the changes of the body. Like Srila Prabhupada first mentions the 6 transformations of the body. That it takes birth, it remains, it grows, it produces byproducts, it dwindles, and then vanishes. And then he says that the soul does not go through such changes. It is not born. And it does not take birth. Like he says, it takes on a material body, but it's the body that has taken birth, not the soul.
Very mysterious, no? Isn't it? Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
So it's amazing. That is why Krishna is going to say the same thing in the next verse. In the coming verse. He said, everything about the soul is amazing, you know? Like, how does it work? Like nowadays in the modern science, when they're doing surgery for people, or they transplant, they're doing heart transplants or whatever, kidney or whatever organ transplants, how does the soul move from one heart to another? Oh, it's amazing, is it not? It's amazing.
Yeah.
This soul, this thing called soul is very, very amazing, actually. And that is why the only way we can really go deep in the knowledge of the soul is to continue to study the scripture. Because then we become more and more purified. Then we can understand this minute particle we are talking about. This minute particle is doing so many great wonders in this world. Just see what the souls are doing in this world. By the guidance of this people, like Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, we have Anu Atma and a Vibhu Atma, the super soul. So this soul is amazing. And this verse, when you read the verse again and again, you can see the soul does not. Let's read it again. Let's go through the verse. Let's go to the verse and read it again. He say, for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. It's unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. It's not snail when the body is not snail. Just imagine. What do we understand by it does not come into being and will not come into being? Can anybody explain?
There was no beginning and there was no end.
Okay, thank you for the comment. Somebody else want to say something? Does not come into being, will not come into being.
The consciousness of the individual soul is prone to be forgetful.
Okay. Okay. Actually, is the body that is forgetful. Actually, once the soul takes the body, it forgets. The past body. The soul is always full of knowledge. Okay. Any other contribution?
Prabhuji, can I ask?
Yeah, please ask.
It's mentioned
I always encourage questions.
Yeah, the soul is Satchit Ananda, but why there's such thing that there is like like soul who cannot get a body, like how do you call it, like lost soul?
Ghost? Are you talking about ghost?
Yeah, I'm talking about ghost. Why is it like that?
Ah, you know, we have 3 planets. We have Earth, we have Buva. Buva is a planet above us before the heavenly planet. We have Buva and Swaga. Swaga is a heavenly planet. So in between Swarga, heavenly planet, and Earth is the planet of the ghosts, ghostly beings. So actually, the ghosts also, they have their own planet. Ghost means they don't, people who die before their time. Okay. So they don't have access to body, physical body. They are still in their subtle body. That is why they are ghosts. And with their subtle body, they cannot achieve physical things. Many of them, you have different kinds of ghosts. We have some ghosts. There are some Brahmana ghosts also. There's Rakshasa ghosts, ghosts that are very wicked, who harm human beings. And some ghosts also, who are just trying to take advantage of human body. So a ghostly being is completely different from the soul, because ghost means, the soul means eternal. It's not easy because the soul is completely different from the ghost. Ghost is a human being who have no access to physical body. Now, be it subtle or be either of their elements, earth, fire, air, ether, and water. A ghost is one who has no access to this element. So that is what they call a ghost. Okay. So they are real. Ghosts are real.
Thank you,
But they don't
Prabhuji.
stay.
Yes,
And
thank you, because I was thinking that ghost and soul are different. So you enlightened me. Thank you so much.
Because ghosts, there was one time in Russia, there was one building where it's said that it's haunted with a ghost. So they gave the place to devotees. And then devotee went there, and these ghosts who are living in that house, they are very violent ghosts. So the devotee went there, they started chanting Hare Krishna. As they were chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, these ghosts became more violent. Like you will see fridge physically flying. Pew, pia. You see TV flying. Pew, pia, become more angry, And that was the end of the house. They left after the devotee started chanting. So that devotee now took that place for temple, So the ghosts, and there was this pastime of Srila Prabhupada also, of a particular, is it Prabhupada? I saw this movie of Prabhupada, a ghost who visited Prabhupada. It was disturbing Prabhupada when Prabhupada was, is it translating? I think is it Prabhupada? I forgot it.
Yeah.
Prabhupada was chanting Hare Krishna mantra to this ghost, and he became, he gave up the ghostly body and he assumed the real demigod body. So ghostly body is completely different from the demigod body also. Ghostly body is completely different, because in the demigod body, they have their own fine body, which is completely different from ours, ours. But it's not like the ghostly body. It's mentioned in Canto 5, actually, about the hierarchy of the universe, about this ghost. Any other contribution or comment regarding this about? Actually, it says the soul does not come into being. We're not calling him into be, and like that. So I was asking about that. What it means is that this soul cannot be physical. Okay. He has never been physical. He will not be physical, and he will not, he's not physical, and he will not be physical in the future. Because soul is spiritual in nature. That's what he's trying to explain. And that is why the soul can take any physical body. It can be in the body of animal, human being, birds, because it's completely different from this. So it can take anybody. So when you look at it, this soul looks like Papa mentioned, it's like a spark of light. And that is why that is where the Brahmavadis miss the point. Okay. It's this point I'm trying to explain now is very, very technical. So we should not be confused, okay? This is where the Brahmavadis miss this point, okay? This soul is like a spark of light, okay? And so the Brahmavadis thinks because it's a spark of light, so he has to merge back into that bigger light. That is their point. Actually, the soul itself has its own form, which is spiritual. But when he forgets his form, his original form, he can take any other forms. That is the nature of the soul. Once he forgets the connection with Krishna, spiritual, that is the servant of Krishna, then this soul can take any other forms. So the soul can take, that is why the same soul is in the body of elephant. The same soul is what is in the body of lion. The same soul is what is in the body of ant. The same soul is what is in the body of cockroach. The same soul is what is in the body of rat. The same soul is what is in the body of bird. The same soul is what is in the body of all of us, and the same soul is what is in the body of the demigods. Yeah, Shaya Mataji.
So it means we cannot kill a cockroach as well, and then a rat.
If you kill a cockroach, you kill a soul. You are depriving the soul from his body.
But when you kill
So
them,
your house
then
should
you're
be clean.
chanting Hare Krishna.
Your house should be so clean that you don't need to kill a cockroach.
Okay.
Your house should be so clean that you don't need to kill a rat. Because rats and cockroaches, they come to a dirty house. So if your house is very clean, then the sin of killing a cockroach will be removed. Actually, cockroaches are very attached to their body. They don't die easily. If you have, I don't see, maybe you have tried to kill cockroach before. Very attached. You see, you have smashed the cockroach, it's still there, it's still dragging his head.
Prabhu, I have a question.
Yes.
So, what smell does the cockroach get repelled to? Like, what kind of product or organic product can we use to repel the cockroach from coming inside the room?
Cleanliness. They don't stay in a dirty place. They stay in a very because they are looking for food. So when you keep something, you keep food in your room, or you keep something that will bring them, then they will come. So if you are clean, if your place is very clean, you will hardly see cockroach. If you go to rich people's house, do you see cockroach there? Really. Because it's always clean. They're always cleaning the place, cleaning and cleaning. Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji, I also want to have a contribution because I remember when I was working on board ships, the quarantine are very strict for cleanliness of the ships on every cabin. So they encourage us to clean everything, especially in the kitchen, that is there was be no leftover of foods during the night, even the what do you call this, the in the bin. So they also encourage us not to bring food inside the cabin because these cockroaches, they are looking for food, and sometimes they are like you know what do you call this,
Saya mo na meron.
parasite. They can be created
Oo, sige.
in a dirty
Kala ko
place.
merong something eh. May masaya eh. Kala ko may birthday or...
Continue, Prabhu.
Yeah, so cleanliness is the key, so it the cockroach or rats will not live in the dirty place.
They don't feel comfortable in a very clean place. They don't feel comfortable. Okay, Ashar Mataji, please go ahead.
So if we kill those insects because they're dirty, we have karma for that, so we should stop killing them, correct?
I know that if you kill them, you have karma. Anything you kill, proper mention, you have karma. That is why you see in Chitan Chatamita, or sometimes there's some unavoidable killing. Okay, but I'm just telling you there's karma for it. Okay. In Chitan Chatamita, Narada Muni preached to a hunter who was very sinful before killing animals. After he became very pure, when he was going to greet his guru, when his Guru Maharaj was coming, he was so careful that he was trying to avoid the ants. He was trying to avoid the ants. He was stamping here and there, avoid to kill the ants. Okay, so to the extent you are pure, to that extent you have tried to avoid to kill other living entities. So that is why you see pure devotees, they want to keep things very clean and everything like that. Because there was one time Prabhupada was inside his room and they were putting mosquito net for him. So Arisori Prabhu was serving Prabhupada at that time. So as he was putting the mosquito for Prabhupada, and there was one mosquito flying outside the net, and he was trying to kill it. Prabhupada said, why do you want to kill it? Leave it alone. It's not attacking you. So let it be. You're already putting the net. Because it's actually specifically mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 5. If you want to go and read about the hellish planet, it is mentioned that if you kill mosquito, there's a hell for you. If you kill a mosquito, just to tell you how very strict in Vedic culture not to kill any living entity. That is why after reading this purport, Papa mentioned in the previous purport that even though we are talking about, okay, the soul cannot be killed, the soul is eternal, that does not give us encouragement to go to kill any living entity.
So,
understanding
I have one question.
Understanding that the soul is eternal, is for us to be able to carry out our prescribed duty without. That is why Krishna is explaining this to Arjuna. Okay? That you are the soul, you are soul, you are not this body. So don't be attached to other bodies. Do your duty. These people are destined to die. Do your duty. Okay. Pitamba Prabhu, now you can speak. Please, whatever you want to speak, when someone is speaking, you just raise your hand. Then we will unmute you. Okay. Please go ahead now.
So, killing living entities, like for example, in the temple, it's so many, like so many pests before. Sometimes you have to kill it just because if you want to defend the devotee from sickness, for let's say sickness. So there's a need to kill some pests.
Yes, if there's a need, you can kill. But the cleaner you become, the more those things will not come. If you are very clean. I remember when I was in the Chopati, they were very strict. No brahmachari takes food into the room. No brahmachari takes food into the locker. They say, if you do that, you are going to bring cockroach. So they are very strict of not taking food into the lockers because they know that the cockroach will look for it. And where the cockroach are coming from? Cockroach are produced in the sockaway. I don't know whether you know what is called sockaway. You know what is called sockaway?
No.
You know what is called sockaway, please?
No, Prabhu. Can you?
Please tell us, Prabhuji.
I don't know what they call it here. You know, when they build a house, they will build a pit where all the stool will go into. I don't know what they call it here. What do you call it?
What is
Did
it?
you get my point?
Lamau?
When they build a house, they will build a place where they collect all the stool.
Septic tank.
Septic tank, yes.
Septic tank, yes. Yes, that is where cockroaches are produced. Just imagine the disease they are carrying, okay? So if you are not clean and they perch on your food, it's very dangerous. Even using your feet to kill them can cause disease for you because that is where they are produced, in the septic tank, like that. Okay, so cleanliness is the way. So we are talking about the soul. Let's continue. Let's forget about cockroach now. Okay, let's talk about the soul. Let's talk about the soul. I forget about cockroach. Cockroach is a living entity who has taken the body of a cockroach must be very sinful. Okay, so I don't think we want to take that body. Okay, so what just to tell us that the soul can take any of the form in 8,400,000 species that we have. The soul can take any of the forms. And that is why he say the soul has not come into being and will never come into being. It's primeval. Means that the soul has been existing as long as the beginning, from the beginning of time, as long as the God exists himself, because the soul is coming from God. We are part of, that's why we say we are part and parcels of God. Okay. Let us read one more verse, then we'll close for today. Then tomorrow we will read more of Srila Prabhupada's, and we'll do some exercise. Okay. Let's read the next verse. Can you see my screen?
No, Prabhu.
No, Prabhu.
Okay, 21. So Krishna is going to give a very nice analogy to explain this. So now, let's listen. Krishna is saying here, Veda vinashinam nityam ya inam ajam abhyayam. Katam sa purusha partakam gatayanti atikam. Oh, Prata, how can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? So Krishna continued preaching to Arjuna. Somebody want to read the purport, then we'll go to test 2 where Prabhupada uses.
Okay, Prabhu. Everything at its proper utility, and a man who is situated in the complete knowledge knows how and where to apply things for its proper utility. Similarly, violence also has its utility in how to apply violence rests with the person in knowledge. Although the justice of the peace awards capital punishment to a person condemned for murder, justice of the peace cannot be blamed because he orders violence to another person. According to
The codes.
the codes of justice in Manu Samhita, the law book for mankind, it is supported that a murderer should be condemned to death. So that is his next life, he will not have to suffer for the great sin he has committed. Therefore, the king's punishment of hanging a murderer is actually beneficial. Similarly, when Krishna orders fighting, it must be concluded that violence is for supreme justice, and thus Arjuna should follow the instruction, knowing well that such violence committed in the act of fighting for justice
For Krishna.
for
Krishna.
for justice, it's not violence at all, because at any rate the man, or rather the soul, cannot be killed. So for the administrations of justice, so-called violence is permitted. A surgical operation is not meant to kill the patient, but to cure him. Therefore, the fighting to be executed by Arjuna at the instruction of Krishna is well full knowledge, so there's no possibility of sinful reaction. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. So this particular verse is a very, very nice verse. And the purport also, we are not going to rush it because there's a group exercise we are going to do regarding that. And there's many nice purport quotes we're going to read. So we're going to start from there tomorrow. Okay? So any question? We have 2 minutes more. Any question or comment regarding what we have done so far? I just try to take it to 1:30 so at least we can cover more. That's why we are doing this. I think it's okay, everyone? It's okay? Okay. No answer means yes.
I have one question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I heard something that like when one takes initiation, then the guru takes the karma, but like when one takes second initiation, then the disciple, he is more responsible for his actions, therefore he takes some of this.
He's more responsible for what?
Because he is a brahmana now, you know, then he is more responsible for his actions, so he has to take his karma, or he has to take some of his karma. If you have any understanding, you can explain.
No. I'm hearing that for the first time. Maybe if you tell me where you find that, I can go and make more research on that.
Oh, really? I heard it a couple of times, but I cannot get.
Surely.
I heard it from devotees, you know.
Yeah, very good. Surely.
Maybe I have to do some research.
Very good. Surely, what happened is that when there is initiation, a guru and disciple, they sign a contract. The contract is that you chant 16 rounds minimum every day, and you follow 4 regulated principles. Immediately you don't follow that contract, surely, even though guru is going to take some of your sin, surely you are going to take some of your sin yourself. Because it's a contract. Okay, from now on, I will not do this, I will not do that, I will not do this, then I will do this, I will do this. So if anybody is not following that, then sometimes we think, oh, okay, I will go and commit sin, then my guru will suffer. Who told you? Sometimes sometimes you'll be surprised that you will be the one that will suffer all your sins. So some devotees, sometimes they are very stupid and foolish. They think that, okay, now I can go and do whatever I can do so that my guru will suffer. It doesn't work like that. Once you break the contract, surely automatically you take the reaction of your sins. Only when you are following sincerely, or sometimes you just struggle, then the guru may take everything. So because Krishna is protecting his pure devotees also. So what this particular aspect, I've not had it. I will make some research regarding that. So, okay, Prabhu. Any other comments or contribution? If none, then we can continue tomorrow. We're going to do a very wonderful good group exercise about this, what we have been reading today, about the soul killing and not killing and all this. So there's a very nice exercise we're going to do tomorrow. Please come early. We start from the beginning of the class so that all of us can participate in it. And also we're going to read very wonderful Srila Prabhupada's quotes for all these, some of these verses tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Kripa Sindhubhya Pachapatanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaura Pramana.